welcome to the channel. In this video we're going to be taking a look at Community Report 49 for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. This was produced on the 25th of April 2022 if you're watching this in the future, and it's a very short update which gives us a first look at the vehicles that we're going to be using on the metro system. This is going to be the main feature of the next update, and then it finishes with a little bit of an update of the changes that have been made to the water and sewage update, which is still currently in the beta test branch. And I have to admit, I'm quite interested in the metro system. And what I'm going to do is read the first two paragraphs, and then we'll go back and look at the pictures. There's greetings, dear comrades of the Soviet Republic. Soon we will celebrate International Workers' Day, as there is only 1 week of this month of April, and May will come soon. The time when spring is in full swing, and Soviet pigeons may try to make it your unoccupied balcony, give us another opportunity to share you some good news about the development of the game. We finally can move on and show you the first images of the upcoming underground metro. It may not look like a big deal, but there are quite a few things to discuss in connection with this update, and it will reveal them later. But now we can show you some of the train sets that will operate in the underground metro lines. Of course, there is a new type of above ground tracks for moving between depots and underground tunnel sections. I'm not going to give you a close in of the top one. I'm more interested in the middle picture here. We'll just take a quick look at this picture. You can see we've actually got a nice close up of some train sets here, and of course we've got a depot in the background. This actually answers a question which has been bothering me when I've thought about the metro update, is where the depots would be, whether we'd have to build them underground, and that would be the first example of a truly underground building. But it seems that the devs are moving towards having an above ground depot. Now, one thing you will notice if you look very carefully, because they say, if we go back to here, and what they say here is which operate on the underground lines. Of course, there'll be new types of above ground tracks. And if we actually come to the next picture, if you look on the left-hand track, you'll see that there's actually a center, or what they often refer to as the third rail. Now that means that these are going to be electrically driven. That means that it may also not be cross compatibility between the above ground electric trains and the underground ones. But if you actually look at this yellow train set, what you see on the top there is actually, I can't remember what they're called now, is it a traverse, which can be extended to pick up overhead cables. Now that interests me for two reasons. One is whether we'll be able to manufacture certain trains and be able to get them from the manufacturing place to the depot and also onto the underground sections. Also, seeing this above ground track makes me wonder whether there will be an opportunity, and I really hope they do this, where you can have underground and overground track. So you can say have an underground metro system under a city, but say if you want to go to another city close by or something like that, track can come above ground. But what this is implying is that the tracks may have to be separate. But then another possibility is that what you might have is a combined electric track with a center rail and an overhead pickup as well. I don't want to get into too much of this. The only other thing I will say is that I can imagine that the modders are going to have a whale of a time with these underground train sets, because the one in the back actually looks a bit like the trains that you would see on the New York Underground. But of course, we've also got the classic London Underground trains. I'm sure somebody won't be able to resist the temptation of creating them. And the bottom picture again is another close-up of multiple trains all parked up. And you can see down the bottom here, there's a couple of other small paragraphs. There is a lengthy list of tweaks which we can be recently based on feedback from public test version. We've increased the power of water pumps and added deeper sewage pumps. Then the throughput of treatment plants has been doubled and the pollution of water sources was fixed. The pollution of direct sewage discharge was adjusted to give players reason to use sewage treatment. The pollution of direct sewage discharge was adjusted to give players a reason to use sewage treatment. Also, the desired quality of treatment setting up treatment plants is now plus or minus 2% instead of 5%. Now that sentence there seems very innocuous, but to be honest, that is quite significant, because one of the things I found is when I was trying to set a water purity level for an industry, eventually I gave up. And the fact you can adjust it by 2% at a time instead of 5% is quite useful. Also, the increase with the pumps is also quite significant. I'm actually going to be talking a little bit more about that in my Seven Crosses series, which will be coming up a day after this video is released. Also, the changes to the sewage treatment is quite significant as well, because I did a little bit of experimenting with it, and it just didn't seem to be worth the effort. If you can, and that's the reason why at the moment I'm dumping sewage directly into the water. So maybe that's something I will be looking at with going forward. And of course, down the bottom here, we've got a very small, short paragraph. It says, and there's some new water trucks, RMN135, T138, T148, been added. Also, mixer and dumper animations for the rest of vanilla vehicles. So it looks like they've actually completed all the animations. I've got a feeling the reason they've added these extra trucks is that if any of you done any testing and started in the 1960s, there wasn't actually an in-game water and sewage truck for a 1960s start. You didn't get the in-game ones until about the 1970s, so you were very dependent on modded vehicles to fill that gap. So it looks like very much like the devs have now introduced trucks that will fill that gap, because being able to use trucks to move water around when you're first starting out, especially on hard start, is quite significant. Anyway, that is the report. It's very short and straight to the point. Hope you've enjoyed this short. I hope you've enjoyed this short video. And until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.